Hi, and welcome back to Life Hope Talks with your host, Selena. As you probably saw by the video title, we will be talking about closure, seeking closure from someone who is alive and well. I know often that we hear the topic of closure, we immediately think um, that closure pertains to seeking um, those final words, that final moment with someone who has passed away and now deceased. However, there are many of us out here, that is seeking closure from someone who's alive and well. They know your name, they know your phone number, they know your email address, they know where you live, and yet they will not help you get closure. When we're talking about closure, we're really speaking on in terms of bringing something to an end that often was not brought to an end the right way. And seeking closure is not limited to romantic relationships. There are many that are seeking closure from a coworker, a best friend, a colleague, friends, adult, children, loved ones, siblings. Um, there are lots of people out here that are seeking closure because the person that exited their life exited in such a way that it left this tremendous pain and unanswered questions. So many people have, such as myself, are kind of grappling and trying to move forward, um, to seek closure, to really get that closure from someone who's unresponsive. And many of you are have that same experience where you are trying to reach out to the person who exited your life and they're unresponsive. And there's a sense of unfairness with that because prior to them abruptly leaving your life or abruptly exiting your life, there were all of these wonderful words being exchanged. You may have heard things such as, "Oh, I love you," um, "I'm here for you," "You're my priority." And then suddenly you wake up to a voicemail, or you wake up to a long text message or series of text messages, or you've woken up to an email, this long email from the exeter, we'll just call him that, I'll call her that, saying all the things that they wanted to say as they decided to exit your life. However, they did not leave room for you to respond and for you to say some of the things that you feel you need to say in order to move on. And often when you're seeking closure, it's because it was abrupt. The relationship is gone. The person has left your life. But there wasn't that final conversation to talk about perhaps what happened, um, and how them not being in your life is affecting you or will affect you. So you're seeking that closure just to have that final conversation, respectable conversation, to be able to say some of the things that the exeter said to you when they left you that 5-minute voicemail or that series of text messages or that long email. You just want that same courtesy, that respect, all of that love, and I got your back, I'm here for you. Where is all of that for you to get the closure you need so that you can move on? And often the exeter says somewhere in their final words to you, they'll say something like, "You need to move on, you need to accept it, you need to let me go, you just need to move on with your life." Well, when you don't have closure, moving on becomes difficult. Not impossible, but it becomes very difficult to move on with your life because you still have unanswered questions, and your heart is still filled with things you want to say that you should be able to say, because not too long ago, just days ago, weeks ago, a couple of months ago, you were the priority to the Exeter. To now, you're no longer the priority. You're not, it seems as though you're not even worth having a conversation, a final conversation with, so that you can do exactly what they have encouraged you to do, which is to move on with your life. This is what we will be talking about. We will have series. I really want to hear from you. When I began to think about this topic and in my own experience, I just did not find support in the community that really talked about closure from someone who's alive, who will not respond to you. It was so hard to find that. So I'm hoping that this channel will provide a safe space for all of you to talk about your experiences as you seek closure from someone who knows you. They know what you look like, they know your name, they know where you live, they know your phone number, they know how to get in contact with you. However, when you reach out to them and say, let's talk, please call me, or something along those lines, they don't respond to you. And it makes it even harder, and it deepens the hurt when you and the Exeter might have joint responsibilities. You know, you might own a house together, you might own a vehicle or have children, and they respond when you talk about the house. They respond when you have something to say about the children or the vehicle. But when you ask to sit down and talk with them about what occurred between the two of you, they become unresponsive. Or they may respond and say, well, you just need to accept it and move on. Well, that's what you're trying to do, accept it and move on. But it's difficult to do that when your heart is so filled with questions and final words that you would like to say, or the way that you would like to express your loss. Because when someone exits your life and you are seeking closure, it's because they were part of your life. They were a very important part of your life. So it's not always as simple or as easy as, well, move on, get over it, accept it, let me go, and all of these other familiar encouragements by Exeters, as I'm calling them. You want to do just that. And it's difficult to do that when your heart is still filled with what happened, or your heart is hurting so because of how they left you. And I also found that with many who are seeking closure, it just was done the wrong way. You know, it was done in such an insensitive manner. The person woke up to the voicemail or the series of text messages. The person called when they knew you could not answer the phone. You were working, you were sleeping, you were busy, you were doing something else. But they constructed this goodbye, this final goodbye, in such a way that it really is painful. They didn't think about how you would be affected, or maybe they did, I don't know. But one thing we do know is when you're seeking closure, it's because you're hurting. There are some more things that you would like to say. You would like to respond to that 5-minute voicemail. You would like to respond to that very long text message, and yet you're unable to do so. So that's what we'll talk about here. I encourage you to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I really want to hear from you. If you're dealing with this topic, or once upon a time you were dealing with wanting to seek closure from someone who just was so resistant and unresponsive to you, how did you move on? And for those of us who are still just working our way through, How are you getting through this every day? We would like to hear from you because I believe as a community, we can learn from one another and we can support one another. We want to hear your story. Even if others are tired of hearing your story, we're not. So this is a place for you where we can really delve into this topic and talk about how our lives are different, how we are different, and how we're just trying to move on with our life and really find a way to close that previous chapter of our life or look back on it and not feel the deep pain that we feel today. So again, thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Selena. Please subscribe so that you are aware of every time I upload a new video. And please don't forget to comment. Be respectful in your comments, but please don't forget to comment. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.